Aunt told my 6-year-old to wait in the parking lot, then took everyone else toys shopping, 4 hours alone. My kid just said it quietly like it was normal. I didn't scream. I drove straight there, walked in without knocking, and said, "You thought I wouldn't find out." I've never told anyone this before. Not really. A couple close friends know the short version. But I've never said everything, not out loud. Mostly because once I start thinking about it, I feel my hands start to shake again. Like they did that day. But I need to get this out now. Maybe just for me. Maybe because I need to know I wasn't crazy for what I did next. This happened in Boise, Idaho. I'm a single dad, been one since my daughter was a baby. Her mom split when she was just shy of a year old. She left a note, packed up her shit, and moved to Oregon with some guy she met at her yoga class. I haven't seen her since, and honestly, we're better off. My daughter and we've made it work. My daughter is 7 now, smart as hell. Soft voice, big heart, kinda shy around new people. But she loves animals and space and watching those YouTube videos where people open surprise toys. Normal kid stuff. Anyway, I've always kept a tight circle. My sister Monica was one of the few family members still in the picture. She's older than me by a decade, has 3 kids of her own, and lives about 20 minutes west of me in Garden City. We weren't exactly close growing up. She was more like a second parent than a sister, always bossing me around, treating me like I was clueless. That didn't really stop after we became adults. But she offered to help out after my ex left, and I figured any family was better than none. Sometimes she'd watch my daughter on weekends. Just for a night or two, mostly when I had to work long hours. She made it sound like she was doing me a huge favor every time, like she was rescuing me. But I went along with it because I wanted my daughter to have someone besides me. Some cousins to play with, something close to a normal childhood. I trusted her. That weekend started like any other. Monica called and asked if she could take my daughter for a girls' day on Saturday. She said she was taking the kids to get holiday stuff, some decorations, maybe see a movie, pick out gifts. My daughter got excited, so I said yes. She packed her little bag, picked out her favorite hoodie, and I dropped her off Saturday morning at Monica's. Gave her a hug, told her to be good, and drove off thinking she'd be back the next day with a new stuffed animal or some glitter stuck in her hair. You know, kid stuff. Next day, Monica pulls up around 4 p.m. Doesn't come in. Doesn't say a word. Just drops her off, waves from the car like she's in a hurry, and takes off. Something felt off the second my daughter walked through the door. She wasn't smiling. Her hoodie was bunched up, her shoes untied, and she was moving slow, real slow. I asked her if she was okay. She nodded. I asked if she had fun. She shrugged. That's when I sat down on the couch and pulled her clothes. "Sweetie," I said. "What happened? You can tell me." She was quiet for a second, then she looked up and said this, in the smallest voice I've ever heard. "Auntie told me to stay in the parking lot while they went to the toy store." I blinked. "Wait, what?" She said they were gonna be quick and I had to stay in the car. "How long were you in the car?" She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "I think 4 hours." 4 hours. I asked if she was in the back seat the whole time. She nodded. I asked if she had snacks. She said no. I asked if she had to pee. She said yes, but she held it. And then I asked the question I was almost afraid to ask. "Did anybody come up to the car?" She looked away, then said, "A man knocked on the window. I got down on the floor like you said." I swear to God, something snapped inside me right then. Something deep. Something I didn't know was even there. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't ask any more questions. I stood up, grabbed my truck keys, and told her to stay inside. Told her I'd be back soon. I drove like a ghost. Didn't turn on the radio, didn't call anyone. Just drove straight to Monica's house. I pulled into her driveway fast and crooked, didn't even bother to park straight. I walked right up to her side door and let myself in. No knocking, no warning. She was on the couch in the living room, barefoot, eating popcorn, watching some dumb Christmas movie with her youngest. She looked up and said, "Jesus, ever heard of a doorbell?" I didn't say a word. I walked straight across the room, grabbed her by the collar of that dumbass fleece she always wears, and slammed her into the wall so hard it rattled the frame. I didn't even know I was gonna do it. My body just moved. Her husband Paul jumped up from the kitchen table, shouting, "Hey, what the hell, man?" But I didn't let go. I leaned in close and said, "You left my daughter in a F*********ing parking lot." Monica's face went red. She started pushing back, but I wasn't letting go. She was fine, she yelled. She didn't want to come inside. You left a 7-year-old alone in a freezing car for 4 hours. 4 F asterisk 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 ing hours. She was being a brat, Monica snapped. She was throwing a fit, she didn't want to come in, and I wasn't gonna reward that behavior. Paul was tugging at my arm now, yelling at me to let go, but I didn't move. She was scared, I said through my teeth. She was crying. A stranger knocked on the window. She had to hide on the floor. Monica blinked. She said that. She's a kid, Monica. What the hell is wrong with you? I could see the car from the store window, she said, like that made it okay. I let go of her shirt then, just stepped back. Paul stood between us like I was about to punch her. I wasn't, not yet. You're never seeing her again, I said. You come near her, you text her, you show up at her school, I swear to God, you'll regret it. Then I turned and walked out the door. But that wasn't the end, not even close, because what I found out later made all of this 10 times worse. And that's when I knew what I had to do. After I got home, my daughter was sitting exactly where I left her. Knees pulled up, juice box still untouched on the table. She looked up at me like she was waiting to see if the world was still safe. I sat down on the floor in front of her and pulled her into my chest. I didn't ask more questions right then. I didn't want to scare her more. I just told her she didn't do anything wrong. I told her she did exactly what she was supposed to do. I told her she was brave. That night she woke up screaming. Not crying, screaming, like something was chasing her. I ran into her room so fast I slammed my shoulder into the doorframe. She was shaking, soaked in sweat, gasping like she couldn't catch her breath. She kept saying, I stayed quiet, I didn't open the door. I sat on the edge of her bed until morning, didn't sleep at all. The next day I called Monica, straight to voicemail, I texted her, nothing. By that evening, Paul texted me instead. You crossed a line yesterday. Monica's really shaken up. You need to apologize. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I deleted it without replying. That same night, my phone rang again. This time it was my mom. She lives down in Twin Falls. We don't talk much, but word travels fast in families like mine. What the hell did you do? She asked the second I answered. She left my kid alone in a parking lot, I said, for 4 hours. There was a pause. Then my mom said, Monica said the girl didn't want to go inside, said you're blowing this out of proportion. That's when I realized something important. Monica wasn't sorry. She wasn't scared. She was already rewriting the story. I told my mom everything. The cold, the time, the man knocking on the window, the nightmares. My mom went quiet again, then said, well, nothing bad actually happened, did it? I hung up on her. Over the next few days, things started piling up. My daughter wouldn't let me leave her alone in any room. She followed me into the bathroom. She sat outside the shower. At night, she'd wake up and just stare at the door like she was waiting for someone to try it. I called her school counselor, told her everything. The counselor listened real carefully, then asked me a question that made my stomach drop. Did you know your sister works with kids? I said, yeah, why? She mentioned Monica on the intake form, she said. Listed her as an emergency contact sometimes. That's when it hit me. Monica works at a daycare, every day, with toddlers. Kids younger than my daughter, kids who can't explain what happens to them. I felt sick. I asked the counselor if she had to report this. She said yes, mandatory reporting. Said she'd file something with Child Protective Services just based on the details I gave. That same afternoon, CPS showed up at my door. Not for me, for information. A woman named Carla sat at my kitchen table, notebook out, calm voice, serious eyes. She asked about my daughter's routine, her behavior before and after the visit. Asked me to step out of the room while she talked to my daughter alone. I hated that part, standing in the hallway, listening to my kid answer questions in that quiet voice, hearing her say, I didn't want to get Auntie in trouble. Hearing her say, I thought I was bad. After Carla left, she told me they'd open a file. She said they couldn't promise anything, but the situation was concerning. That word stuck with me, concerning. 2 days later, Monica showed up at my house. Didn't call, didn't text, just showed up. I opened the door and there she was, arms crossed, sunglasses on, lips tight like she was already mad at me. You sicked CPS on me, she asked. I told the truth, I said. You're trying to ruin my life, she snapped. You know I could lose my job. You should have thought about that before you left my kid alone. She leaned closer. You don't have proof. That was the moment I knew she thought she'd get away with it. I told her to leave. She didn't. She told me I was unstable, told me she was thinking about calling the police about what I did to her, about grabbing her. I told her to try it. She smiled then, a real ugly smile, and said, you really think people are gonna believe you over me? That night, Paul called me again. This time he wasn't calm. You need to fix this, he said. Monica's boss heard something. Parents are asking questions. I asked him if he knew she left my daughter in that car. He went quiet. Then he said, she said the girl was difficult. I hung up again. The next morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was a police officer. He said Monica had filed a report saying I assaulted her, said they needed to ask a few questions. I looked over at my daughter, sitting on the floor lining up her toys in perfect rows, hands trembling just a little. And I realized this wasn't just about what Monica did anymore. She was coming after me now, and she wasn't done lying. I met with the officer the next day. His name was Jensen. Young guy, maybe early 30s. Tried to keep things neutral, but I could already tell he'd been briefed with Monica's side of the story before I even sat down. He didn't say much, just asked me to walk him through what happened that day. I told him. Word for word, I told him about the parking lot. The 4 hours, the man knocking on the window, my daughter hiding on the floor, the nightmares, the counselor, CPS, all of it. He wrote it down, barely blinked. Then he asked, did you physically assault your sister when you confronted her at her home? I stared at him for a second. Define assault, I said. You grabbed her by the collar and pushed her against a wall. That's what she reported. I didn't punch her, I didn't hurt her. I got in her face after she left my daughter alone in a car like trash. That's what I did. He scribbled something down. Is it true you threatened her? I told her to stay the hell away from my daughter. That's not a threat, that's a promise. He sighed, closed his notebook, and said, look, I'm just doing my job. Right now, there's no charges. But she wanted it on record. Just keep your distance. I left that station with my blood boiling. I knew what Monica was doing. She wasn't scared. She was setting something up, building a defense, painting herself as the victim. And me, the angry, unstable, single dad. She was laying a trap, slowly, one piece at a time, and people were starting to believe it. I found out from another parent at the school that Monica had been talking to people, telling them I was overreacting because I was burnt out and couldn't handle the stress. She said I was having episodes. She used words like unhinged and aggressive. Then came the kicker. 3 days after the police visit, I got a letter from family court. Monica had filed for temporary guardianship rights, said I was emotionally unstable, and that my daughter had expressed fear of being left alone with me. I read that line 3 times, thinking I must be misunderstanding something. She said my daughter was afraid of me. That's when it all clicked. This wasn't about covering her ass anymore. This was about control, power, payback. And then I remembered something that made my skin crawl. 6 months earlier, Monica had asked me, casually, if I'd ever thought about letting someone else step in for a bit. Said parenting looked exhausting. She said it with a smile, but now I could hear it for what it really was. She'd been planting seeds for a long time, and now she was trying to take my daughter. I did the only thing I could. I lawyered up, took damn near everything I had in savings. But I found a guy named David Chang, an old-school local attorney who didn't smile once during our meeting. Just listened, took notes, and said, all right, let's go to war. David moved fast. Filed a response, countered her petition with documented proof, texts, school counselor notes, the CPS report, everything. He advised me not to contact Monica again. No texts, no calls, nothing she could twist. For 2 weeks, I barely slept. Then the next twist hit. One of Monica's daycare coworkers reached out to me. Her name was Angela. I didn't know her well, but we'd crossed paths once at a birthday party. She messaged me on Facebook. Said she needed to talk. Urgently. We met at a gas station out in Eagle after dark. She was in an old blue sedan, hands shaking on the steering wheel. I can't stay long, she said. If they find out I talked to you, I'll lose my job. What is it? I asked. She looked around, then leaned forward. She's lied before, Monica, about parents. About kids, she makes stuff up when she doesn't like someone. What do you mean? There was a mom last year, divorced, struggling. Monica told the director she smelled alcohol on her breath at drop-off. It wasn't true. The woman got reported to CPS, lost custody for 2 months. I stared at her, not breathing. She did it to you too. A week ago, she said she smelled weed on your clothes. Told the director you seemed off when you came to pick your kid up. Said the girl always looks jumpy and maybe you're yelling at her. I sat back in the truck, head spinning. She's trying to build a case, I said out loud. Angela nodded. That's what she does. She plays the long game, tells lies slow and quiet until everyone just assumes they're true. Then she paused and added one more thing. You didn't hear this from me, but someone left the daycare door open last month. A little boy wandered into the parking lot. Monica was supposed to be watching him. My heart dropped. What happened to the boy? Someone found him before anything bad happened, but Monica panicked, blamed the new girl. She cried in the staff meeting, said she had warned the girl to check the door twice. Management sided with her. I stared at the steering wheel, jaw clenched. Angela reached into her purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Here, she said, this is the internal write-up Monica signed after the incident. It's not public, but I printed a copy before it disappeared from the system. I took it, hands shaking. Why are you helping me? Angela shrugged. I don't know, I think your daughter deserves better than this, and you do too. She drove off before I could say thank you. I sat there alone for a long time, the paper in my hands, my heart pounding. And one thought spinning in my head, she's not just a danger to my kid, she's a danger to all of them. I didn't go home right away. I sat in my truck with that paper on my lap until the engine went cold. I kept reading it over and over, the write-up, the dates, the signatures, Monica's name at the bottom, clear as day. She'd let a toddler wander into a parking lot. And she still had a job, still had access to kids, still had the nerve to come after mine. That night I didn't sleep. I watched my daughter breathe, counted it, in and out, over and over. Every time she shifted, my heart jumped. The next morning, my lawyer called. They scheduled the emergency hearing, David said. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's all Monica needed to poison the well more, so I stopped waiting. I did something I probably shouldn't have, something that still cost me later. I took everything I had and I went public. Not loud at first. Quiet, careful. I posted in a private Boise parents group. Anonymous account. Just facts. No names at first. I wrote about a daycare worker who left a child alone in a car for hours. I wrote about another incident where a toddler wandered into a parking lot. I didn't accuse, I asked questions. Parents started commenting. Which daycare? Is this real? My kid goes somewhere like that, this scares me. Then someone else commented. I think I know who this is about. That's when it cracked open. Within a day, names were being said without me typing a single one. Screenshots started showing up. Old reviews, complaints that never went anywhere. A pattern. I added one thing, a photo of the internal write-up. I blurred the kid's name, left Monica's signature clear. That post exploded. By the next morning, the daycare shut down temporarily. Corporate sent emails. Parents pulled kids out. News vans parked outside the building. Monica didn't go to work that day. She came to my house instead. She was screaming before I even opened the door, yelling my name, calling me a psycho, a liar, saying I ruined her life. I told her to get off my property. She laughed, loud, ugly. You think this helps you? She said. You just proved you're unstable. Then she did something I still can't believe. She called my daughter by name, said it out loud. My daughter froze behind me, grabbed my shirt. That was it. I didn't touch Monica. I didn't yell. I stepped back inside and called the cops. This time I had receipts. The officer who showed up wasn't Jensen. It was an older woman. Calm. Sharp eyes. She listened. Watched Monica melt down. Watched her scream and cry and switch stories mid-sentence. Monica was arrested that afternoon, not for what she did to my daughter. For violating a temporary restraining order I didn't even know had already been approved that morning. My lawyer had moved faster than I realized. The hearing happened anyway. Monica showed up with a public defender. No makeup. Eyes red, no confidence left. The judge listened to everything. The parking lot, the daycare, the lies, the false report against me, the attempt to take my child. Then the judge asked Monica one question. Why didn't you take the child into the store? Monica opened her mouth. And nothing came out. The judge denied her petition. Permanently, issued a no-contact order, lifetime, no exceptions, then referred her case to the state licensing board. She lost her job, her license. Any chance of working with kids ever again. Paul filed for divorce 2 weeks later, took the kids, took the house. Monica moved in with my mom, and that's where the karma hit harder. My mom finally heard everything. The real version. Not Monica's, not the cleaned up one. She called me crying, said she'd been wrong, said she didn't see it. I didn't feel good about that. I didn't feel anything. Now here's the part where I pay too, because I went too far. The post I made, the one with the document, turns out I wasn't supposed to have it. Angela got fired, blacklisted. I lost the lawsuit Monica filed against me for defamation, even though everything was true. Truth doesn't always save you. I paid a settlement, big one, lost my savings, had to sell my truck, took on night shifts, missed games, missed dinners. My daughter saw that. One night she asked me, did I make things bad? That broke me worse than anything Monica ever did. I told her no. I told her adults made bad choices and sometimes other adults pay for them. She hugged me and said, I'm glad you didn't leave me. That was it. That's the end of it. Monica's gone from our lives, ruined by her own choices. Alone, angry, with nothing left to control, I'm still here, tired, broke. Watching my kids sleep every night like it's my job. Because it is. And I'd do it all again, even knowing what it cost me.